Good afternoon, people. Quick video. A couple things, people. I want to ask you a couple questions. Real quick. Just have a couple questions for those who are watching. Now, obviously, when it comes to communication, when it comes to articulating a certain topic or a certain point, certain perspective, there's a degree of skill required. It's something I pursue actively, is the ability to get a point across effectively. Now, I am in no certain terms going to describe certain events that may be transpiring currently. I'm sure you can guess what I might be alluding to. No, that's on you. That's on you. I'm saying what I'm saying, and whatever you hear, whatever you discern me to be pointing to, that's on you. You feel me? So, let me define a word real quick. Justice. let me define a word real quick. I mean, this is just a random. This is from dictionary.com. The quality of being just, righteous, equitableness, or moral righteousness, to uphold the justice of a cause, rightfulness, or lawfulness as a claim or it goes on. It goes on. A lot of words. Let me ask you a question. This stuff gives me energy. You feel me? Let me ask you a question. How did this world get here? For those of you who are researchers of cosmology, where did this world come from? By world, I mean the universe, the earth, everything you see around you. How did it get here? I would follow up. Why is everything that you witness, you observe, both scientifically and in your own personal life, how is there stuff? Just a thought. Now, according to the sciences, this is not my, this is not my perspective, but according to the sciences, chance, matter, and time is how everything we witness around us, it's how it got here. Which is interesting. It's very interesting. And honestly, I'm going to try to keep this video short. I'm going to see if I can actually make a quick video. Let's aim for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So, we live in a world that was generated by time, matter, and chance. I would pose a question to you. How do we get justice from a universe that is comprised of time, matter, and chance? Now, wouldn't the definition of justice imply that there's a law by which we judge what is just and what isn't? How do we determine right from wrong? It's a basic question. It's an elementary question. There are 4 questions that you should study as an adult. I would urge you to study this before you become an adult, in your early to late teens. 4 questions. Where do I come from? How do I tell right from wrong? What gives my life meaning? I probably get hyped when I talk about this type of stuff. And where do I go when I die? 4 basic questions. Where do I come from? What gives my life meaning? How do I tell right from wrong? Where do I go when I die? Now, with that being said, basic question. If we believe in justice, if we all have a longing for justice, if we all feel in our heart that justice should be somewhere, that there should be a right answer to a problem, We're talking about law. If you look at, the speed limit, yield signs, traffic signals, laws, you would do 25 in this area, this vicinity. 25 is the speed limit. If you do 26, you're breaking the law. You know what is legal based on what the law is. Now, here's the issue. Someone wrote that law. Someone wrote the law. That entity who wrote the law had a purpose for a certain environment. Let's take a school zone, for example. The speed limit is a lot slower in that environment. Why? Because there are children who may or may not think before they make a decision. They cross the road and they feel happy, full of candy. They hype. They better go home and get into trouble. And so they hop out, they run out the front door and they just run across the street. So you need to be going slow enough to be able to react properly, to be able to respond when chaos happens. That is the purpose of a slower speed limit, the purpose of the law in that area. Now, if you have the Autobahn, it's a different law, or the lack thereof. It's different based on the environment, based on the entity who wrote the law, who had a purpose for that environment, who knew the rules of engagement in that environment. So, let's zoom out. The universe, the world, the US, cool. Laws. We have legality. Cool. But what happens when we switch over to moral laws? This is where we tend to lose people. This is where everyone tends to throw up hair, just everyone go their own direction. Interesting. How do we tell right from wrong in a world that it's here by chance? It's not supposed to be here, or it is supposed to be here. We have no clue. Simple question. Whose opinion do we base right and wrong off of? It's a very simple question, yet everyone's going to have a different opinion to it. Politics is comprised of problem solving, or the attempt to address certain problems. Hence why you'll have all these different, obviously you have the two divides, the huge largest groups. This is not a political video, but you have the two groups, and they all have their opinions. Cool. And then you have individuals. Society is made up of individuals. If I have an opinion, you have an opinion, whose opinion is right? If someone writes a law and someone else disagrees with that law, how do we know who's right? Is there such thing as right in a world that was here by chance? No one tries to make a living, with few exceptions, but in terms of majority, in terms of casino house tends to win in most cases. You don't see people trying to make a living. The bulk of Americans, the bulk of individuals, the normal people trying to make a living off of chance. Most people want predictability. They want 40 hours. They want a contract, stability, predictability. You have the small percentage of people who like to play the numbers and play the chance and play what is risky but high rewarding. Are there rules in a universe that's here by chance? And of course, all these questions assume that we're here by chance. I'm not saying we're not. I'm just asking questions. Are we here by chance? Because it would make more sense that if we weren't here by chance, if we were here intentionally, justice would make sense. Because we all have this longing for justice. But I would ask the question, where does that longing come from? Because if you look at our normal everyday lives, We know where hunger comes from. You know, the need to eat, thirst. You know, our hormones, you know, have our own needs and what have you. We all have these natural and, you know, these needs that is normal to our everyday lives, and we don't ever question them. We don't ever ask where's everything come from, people. It's interesting. Has anyone questioned where the longing for justice comes from? And is it a valid longing, or is it delusion? I posted on Twitter, what was it, a couple days ago? Let me see. Because one thing I refuse to do is constantly react. Like, in most cases, no one would know what I'm thinking. And I kind of like it that way. I prefer people to have to ask me a question. By the way, shout out to Chico, a $2 super chat. Appreciate you, bro. Much love. This morning, this afternoon, I posted misdirection. Just one word, misdirection. You can take from that what you will. Just one word, misdirection. Your attention should be in this area, but some form of stimuli has caused you to look over here and miss what's important. I am monitoring the chat. Let's see what Des T has to say. Well, I'd argue that justice is to try to preserve the time and chance we were given. Are you referring to survival? Because according to, again, just vague arguments, you know, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm not accusing anyone of being wrong. Just asking questions. But when I went to high school, I was taught natural selection, that the strongest survive. The fit survive. You know, if you even look at COVID, what are we observing when it comes to natural selection? There's a moral point of view, and then there's a natural point of view. Which one should we abide by? Which one should we base our decisions off of? The natural point of view, where, you know, hopefully your immune system's intact. Hopefully you're strong, you're fit, you're young, you're healthy, relatively, of course, because, you know, nowadays no one knows what's healthy anymore. We just kind of guess. You know, stop eating sugar. All right, well, just take some more medicine. If survival is the point, then shouldn't we do away with all the moral laws then? Because if it's my job to simply outlive you, the whole purpose of my existence is to outlive the next person. Cool. I've been successful for 27 years, 28 years, goodness. I don't know, people. One thing I have observed is that this is a very dangerous world. It's a very dangerous world. And a lot of people fail to realize it, fail to acknowledge how dangerous this world truly is. I was scrolling through Facebook the other day. Another person got mauled by a bear. You know, I mentioned in my last stream how science tells us what occurs normally. You know, when I enter the woods, when I enter on a hiking trail, I'm well aware of the dangers and the possibilities, the probabilities that exist on a given trail. That could be my last hike. When I go to the ocean and walk the beach and try to vibe out heavy, there's a chance I witness a shark. Of course, I won't be in the water personally, but, you know, those who enjoy surfing and, you know, engaging with nature's cereal bowl, just God knows what's in there. Just but then get surprised when sharks show up. Like, I did not know there was sharks in the... Science tells you what occurs normally, in a given environment. I don't know, people. This world is very dangerous. Very dangerous. And, it's interesting how we've grown so comfortable. It's one of the negatives of this YouTube. We've grown so comfortable that I believe, and I mentioned this probably years ago, one of my old videos when I was making videos on my phone and all that. We've all lost perspective. All of us. All of us. It seems like the only way we can get all people at one time to think in terms of truth, universal truth, there has to be some huge tragedy, natural or otherwise. The loss of life on a mass scale seems like the only way that we all seem to get on the same page. Because one death, no, that's political. That's an interesting topic. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. We'll post, vague, passive-aggressive posts and anger, and we'll post. I don't know. Sometimes I wish I wasn't in the military because I could really just talk about stuff. Which, again, talking is a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to just speak an opinion. It's a privilege. What do you guys think? Why do you guys think we're here on this earth? What gives our life any meaning whatsoever? As humans, we're constantly compared to, apes. We descended from apes. Interesting. And yet they're the ones in the cages. Like, we still have apes, and they're the ones in the cages. We one day crawled out the ocean. A large span of time, of course. Chance was a major factor. Something crawled out the water and found something else to mate with that happened to be the same species, same kind. And the result of that union survived, found something to eat, but changed into something else. Again, over millions of years, somehow that, again, I don't know, because this is why our tax dollars, all of our tax dollars pay for this. Cool. I have nothing against it. Cool. I just ask questions. They're just questions. That's a good point, Des T. Of course, with the millions of years, if things are still evolving, we wouldn't live long enough to see it. There would be one child with an extra arm, but we didn't know that was how we're going to look, 10 million years from now. Extra arm right out the shoulder, just in case we fall that way. We'll catch ourselves with that innovation. I don't know, people. What is the point of this stream? What is the point? The point is, I would challenge you. To take 1 second, pause. Whatever you might be feeling right now, it's valid, 100%. Whatever you're feeling, anger, sadness, grief, loss, It's 100% valid how you feel right now. The worst thing for life is for death to become normal for anyone on any side of the aisle, on any team. The second that death becomes normal, we're all in trouble. So of course, death. Matter of fact, here, right on base. The lady that works at our BX, our little shop at our little gas station. She lost her boyfriend. Here one day, gone the next. And I asked her, I'm like, if you knew what was coming, if you knew, obviously it's been some time that's transpired. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask that question in the midst of grief. But, I'm curious. Was it worth it to experience what you're experiencing now, the pain, the loss, the grief? Would you do it over again? Would you risk feeling what you feel now for what you had? Of course, she said yes. Without hesitation, she would do it all over again, even with the current grief that she's enduring currently. And she said, she wants to go to a grief camp and really learn how to grieve properly because she's just struggling with it. She doesn't know how to grieve. And of course, I had to speak up. I'm like, it should not be normal. You should not know how to deal with death. No one should. We should not know how to just, I'll just go back to work. Cool. That being said, allow me to reiterate, your feelings are valid, 100%. But what if, just a question, what if a nice little pause will get people's attention, to think the stream ended. What if you took a second and ask yourself, what is the point of anything, of any of us? Have you even asked the question, what is the truth of our existence? I'm currently in a place in my life. Where, and again, I observe this so much in my environment. The argument against, emotion, rationality, reasoning. Which one? Wrong question. The real question should be, what order do they go in? We're not choosing between them. We're prioritizing. It is my tendency, I speak for no one else, it is my tendency to prioritize reasoning, rationality, to no predetermined conclusion. To simply think, acknowledge the feelings, but then pause and think. I posted on Twitter a while back. Again, Twitter gets all my thoughts. It allows me to just kind of vent a little bit. There's a quote by what's his name? Richard Dawkins. He's like, this world is exactly what you expect if DNA was just thrust into the universe and chance and time and matter all just kind of combust all together at the same time. The world, the way you see it today, is what you expect. In a world where everyone defines for themselves what right and wrong is, what would you expect from that? If you, that person, your friend, your parents, your coworkers, if everyone decides for themselves what right and wrong is, what would the world look like? I would argue it would look exactly the way it is. Here's a thought. And I'm gonna wrap this up because I said 10 minutes. I'll wrap this up. I would argue that the problems that you're witnessing around you, the problems that you're witnessing in the world and society, on social media, they're not the problem. They are the symptoms. They are the results. All the problems that you're observing day in and day out, there's always something on fire. Something is going wrong. Something went haywire. Somebody made a decision that impacted someone else's life. For better or for worse. Something is off. I would ask you the question, what is the root cause? What is evil? What is good? And who defines each? It can't be me. It can't be you, because we are biased. We have our own opinions. We can't make decisions based off opinions. Whose opinion do we decide on? Whose opinion is valid today? Which political party do we engage with? I don't know. It's just a thought, people. Just a thought. I would challenge you. Just ask the question, if everything I'm witnessing in the world around me is the result, what is the root cause? It's a great starting point. I don't push any praxeology, any ideology, any religion, any philosophy. I don't push any of that. I ask questions. I just ask questions. It's not my place to preach to you, to teach to you, to try to get you to think a certain way. I don't want you to join I believe what Isaiah thinks. No. For what? It's just an opinion. But this is how you should be discussing certain issues. Again, you're going to have the ups and downs. You're going to have the foolishness that transpires. Cool. Should you react to every single little thing? Or should you react to every big thing? I don't know. Something I noticed in myself. I mentioned in previous streams when I went to the NCOA PME, the NCO PME, what they're discussing color personalities, and I got outed as being a green, and you're too stoic, and you're too structured, you're too orderly. Cool. The blues, the loving and the warm and the fireplace and the cotton candy and the holding hands, kumbaya. Get the orange, the rock stars, the ATVs, I'm gonna jump off the side of this mountain and see what happens, and the golds or something similar, a little bit more refined, more or less. I was struck by the fact that I was the only green in the class. I'm like, that's unacceptable. And I paid close attention to my reaction when they started reading the description of the blues. I believe I took the test before. I was a gold last time I took it. My flight chief made me take it. He's like, would you take this test, bro? So I can figure you out. Well, you ain't gonna figure me out, man. We at work. But yeah, I noticed I was the only one in the class, and I had to pause. There are 2 times you should pause: when you're by yourself and when you're in a large group. You gotta figure this out. Like, why am I by myself in a group of 10 people? I'm the only green? Cool. It's not a bad thing. It's amoral. It's neither good or bad. It's a gift. I'm different. Feel me? But then I noticed my reaction again to the blues. I'm like, they're different. But I know how I typically react to blues. I'm not gonna lie, especially in male form when they're males and they're blues. How? Again, they're different. It's neither good or bad. But I knew I had to work on my ability to become teal. That's all I took from that whole thing. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm green. Cool. People don't value me until there's a problem. Nothing wrong with that. No one cares about greens until there's an issue that we have to analyze and solve. You know, and then I don't want to be around greens when I'm trying to relax. Difference. It's my goal to become teal, to feel more, to be empathetic. If you guys follow me on Instagram, Snap, Twitter, you'll notice something is that typically my posts don't adjust to the news. They don't adjust to what's trending. I got a previous question during my Q&A of how I stay grounded. That's my whole point. When I wake up, my only goal is to stay grounded in my truth, my path. There's too many variables to adjust to. But one thing I do not ignore is the reality of this world that we live in. There's the optimists. Oh, everything works out. Everything will be good in the end. We'll all be holding hands, singing Kumbaya in the fields. You watch Game of Thrones, the honorable person dies first. The person that follows the rules in war, they die first. Certain wars, they're not playing fair. It's truth. It's just the truth. Some people want things to be a certain way. You want an ideal situation. You want people to follow a certain set of rules that you agree with. That's not the real world, though. And it's sad. It's unfortunate that we all have to live in a world and there's certain things that we don't agree with. But you should ask the question, what is the truth of this universe? I mentioned previously that your day is coming. We all have a day that we're going to be trending, that we're going to be a hashtag on a t-shirt, on somebody's windshield. We'll be on a tombstone somewhere. One thing I watch on Instagram, YouTube, it's kind of weird, but I find it intriguing. I look in the eyes of animals about to die. It's so different. When I walk to work, there's a long hallway I walk to work in, and there's one picture that there's a salmon in the mouth of a bear, and I just look at the eye of that salmon. I'm like, what is he thinking? What will I be thinking when my day comes? Where will I be? What will be the situation? How will I go? At some point, we will all be faced with our own mortality. It's interesting. Another thing I find interesting is when I look at Instagram, and you just scroll like any normal person, but the thoughts that go through my head of we are all alive at the same time, dealing with the same environments, the same issues, the same goings on, proceedings. At the same time, it's pretty dope to be alive at the same time as Veronica or Spoon Man or Anik was good. Ben, Wasabi, Spiritual Healing, Des T, RL. We're alive in it's like the same class reunion. We're all graduating at the same time. We're all alive at the same time, and then we're all gonna die. And then the next group's gonna come in, and they're all gonna be alive, and they're gonna think that they had it the worst, and we're gonna think that we had it the worst, and we'll both be right, or we'll both be wrong. Like who knows? Who knows? Let me end the video with a challenge because, of course, there needs to be something pragmatic that comes from these videos. A lot of musings and a lot of questions, but now what? Now what? I would challenge you to stay grounded in truth. In truth, not entitlement, not in hope. Yes, I said hope, not in hope. Not in tomorrow, not in yesterday, not in the news, not in narrative, not in your favorite social media. I have our favorite, mediums. Stay grounded, meaning reasoning and emotion paired perfectly together. Why? Because each by itself is unbalanced. Each by itself is unbalanced. One of the hardest things in the military to deal with is the balance between your personal and your work performance. Your personal life and succeeding at work. How do you do both? Is it possible? Should we even try to balance them? Should one be prioritized? The struggle of life is balancing emotion and reasoning, rationality, questions and answers, perspective. I don't know. I watch the news just like everybody else. I walk through the DFAC and the TVs are on. And I have to remind myself, stay grounded, seek truth. My opinion is irrelevant. To be honest, your opinion is irrelevant. There's my opinion, there's your opinion, and there's the truth. What actually happened? Who knows? I left work early yesterday. I'm not in with this. Left work early yesterday. Had nothing to do with anything outside of I just felt off. I was fasting yesterday. That was helping. that was part of the solution was to fast all day long. Today I ate lunch. But yeah, I don't know. The more you live, you realize the value that you must seek in this world is not in things. I was talking to a friend this morning. We were talking about, cross training and how, we both used to want to, be load masters or, cross train flying AFSCs, move around the Air Force and fly and see the world on the military's dime and get all this per diem and cool. Excitement, adventure. But somehow we were on the same page as far as how that was starting to wear off. Not in terms of we wanted more stability, but we just valued stability over what's shiny. I don't know. Working where I currently work, where I'm in the middle of nowhere, the middle of nowhere, the middle of Alaska, it's just bare out here. You could guess what I'm beginning to value most. Human interaction. I see a couple comments. Who said it? I'm gonna expose you for saying it. Benjamin Park. I look sad. I'm not sad. I have no reason to be. One that I am acknowledging is truth. Again, truth. Removing the pride from the situation, removing the pride from myself, and asking myself, what do I want in this current moment? And of course, balancing that with what I want in the future. Because again, we must seek balance. It's not about seeking pleasure always in the moment. That will lead to nowhere. That will lead to regret, seeking pleasure in the moment. But what if I ask myself, what do I value right now? In this current situation, this current environment, what is most important to me right now? People. People. Last time I took leave was in January of 2020. I used to go to Florida every weekend. Go see my boy in Florida. Land in Orlando. Him and his girl pick me up. We go to Universal Studios. We have dinner at this Mexican restaurant. Walk all the way around the park. Go to the Chocolate Factory. Get one new dessert. Get in the car. Drive to his house, about an hour away. And the early next morning, coffee in hand. Matter of fact, I got some right here. You feel me? I'm about to do it justice real quick. That is disgusting. Early in the morning, I take one of the cars and I go to the beach. I just vibe out, vlog it up. Cameras everywhere. I miss people, honestly. And again, I'm not sad. It's the truth of my reality in this current moment. I miss people. And for some reason, it sounds weird to admit that. I'm like, bro, you're a green. First of all, greens don't miss people. You understand me? That's not something, people that think a lot. You don't miss people. You don't value hugs. When's the last time I had a hug? And not like a sexually engaged. Like when's the last time I just had a hug? I don't know. It's been a minute. I don't know. And this kind of ties in with the cross training thing, because as much as I would like to cross train, as much as I would like to experience different, jobs and, flying around the Air Force, cool. There comes a time in everyone's life, at some point, if you're human, you will think about family. I'm roasting myself in my head. I'm like, bro, what do you, you weak does to a family? Simple. A son, a daughter, a wife. I don't know. Shout out Neek. I feel you. You constantly moving around the Air Force. You constantly feel like moving. You don't have roots. Wasabi, I feel you, man. Fear is not a reason to do anything. Fear is not a reason not to do anything. And again, it's not about marriage, because marriage is a legal term. It has to do with a contract. But when I speak to relationship, that's all that matters at this point. I watch every video on cameras. A new C70 camera Canon just dropped. I got a shelf full of cameras. Xbox I don't turn on. Fast as hell Wi-Fi. 28, like brand new MacBook, brand new monitor, brand new TV, latest Android. What do I value right now with all this stuff? My household goods arrived. They'll be delivered tomorrow, so I'll have all my extra stuff. My extra stuff. I have so much stuff. And then what? There will come a time where you're gonna hit a wall. You're gonna hit a wall. You're gonna realize the value of this universe. And the more we get surrounded by stuff, the more, COVID, rules and regulations and rules of engagement and can'ts and cans and what have you, the more this world evolves and changes and adjusts, you're going to notice that one thing is going to stay the same. And I'll go ahead and adjust that now because I just corrected myself. One thing should stay the same: your value for human life. And I struggle with this probably more than anybody I know, is my reaction to people that I don't enjoy. Dealing with it now. Surrounded by the same people that I see every day for 10 hours plus every day. Friday gets here, I sprint off the space. I sprint to the nearest civilization, a hotel with the same amenities I have here, except it's just different. The bed's bigger. And I just spread out over the bed. I order DoorDash and I just fall asleep in, a 50-degree room, and I sleep. But I know the truth. Based on historically, it's accurate to the T. Is that whenever I leave an environment, I always miss that environment. And again, this all ties into the title. It's a little rant, but who cares? Who cares at this point? We're almost 50 minutes in. Whenever I leave a base and go to somewhere else, you always miss the people you left. The people. I don't miss anything at Keesler. I don't miss anything at Lackland, anything at the Pentagon, anything at Andrews. I miss the people. Now, how does this tie into the title of the video? Let's loop it all back. Talking about justice. Talking about this world that we live in. Talking about truth. What is the point? What is the point of everything? Where should you turn your focus right now? What should be your focus right now? People. People. My personal opinion, it's irrelevant. I was about to tell you, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. More questions. More questions. Once again, a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings, a lot of people are hurting. My path, it's going to be adjusting. It's going to be adjusting. I can try to be as rational as I want to be. But at some point, emotion is going to come in. And I'm going to pair it with that rationality, with that reasoning. And then I'm going to live my life based off of that. What direction do I take? I don't know. A lot of you guys heard me say constantly, I'm obsessed with obtaining options. Options. In every area of my life, I want the ability to choose. Well, what does that really mean? Because honestly, I've had to be honest with myself as of late and really look inwardly, objectively, come out of my skin and look back at myself and realize the pursuit of options, in a way, in part, can also be observed as a fear of commitment, a fear of loss, a fear of being left. Fear. A person who has options typically does not have fear, especially the fear of loss, because they will simply replace it. I spent most of my adult life pursuing options, the ability to pursue something, and if I lose it, replace it the next day. The The one area of my life it does not work in is people. And trust me, especially to my youngins, my young men on this channel, it does not work in relationships. It does not work. You can try, you're going to hurt a lot of people, including yourself. The one area that you can't apply the concept of options to is your relationships. And at some point, you're going to have to fully engage. You're going to have to fully take the lead. I asked my dad right before I left DC, I'm like, why did you get remarried? To deal with loss, to deal with, the holiday arrangements and who's coming here and who's going there. And obviously most people have experienced divorce, whether directly or indirectly. I'm not the only person. I took it personally. I'm like, bro, why me, bro? Like, I'm different. I'm out here. Like, I'm not the same as the rest of these. Like, no. Like, why does my family have to get torn apart? And I had a heart-to-heart, a man-to-man talk with my dad. I'm like, what made you get remarried, bro? Like, why would you? For what? For what? And then, of course, I told the story before, but like, he called me out heavy. He was like, bro, I watch your channel, bro. Like, how are you going to tell people to take a risk to try again? They get disqualified from MEPS. And you tell them, well, it's not the end of the world. Try something else. Take a different route. You start preaching. You get on your little soapbox. And you start going on a rant. It's your turn, right? Same thing happened when, I thought I failed, making staff. I was giving myself a little pep talk, making my video. I'm gonna inspire the people. I'm gonna get these likes. You feel me? I'm about to go up heavy. There will come a time where you got to practice it. Well, 28 years old. What would the practice of that look like? The practice of what I preach in terms of trying again, re-engaging, trying again, failing. I watched a YouTuber. He said he's successful because he's failed continuously. He's a failure by definition. He's failed continuously. But if you observe this world like anyone else, it only takes one time to be right. One time to seemingly be lucky on the lottery table, the roulette table. Your number hit one time. That's all you need. It does take, effort to remain successful. But in a lot of ways, you just need one big break is what a lot of people refer to it as. Well, relationships. Because again, if you look at this world objectively, you would realize that there is an intent. There seems to be patterns in this world, which speaks to the fact, or at least the opinion, the hypothesis, that there could be a reason why we're all here, because we have this longing for justice. We have these longings, these inanimate, these realities that we experience on a day-to-day basis. There's no basis in science. How do you explain love with science? Sacrifice with science? Giving without expectation. How do you explain that with science? You can't. You try. So, the reality of this world is dangerous. It's not fair. It's not biased. Death does not care. Life is a gift. Time is a currency. Opinions are plentiful. Truth, if I may quote the late, great Ravi Zacharias, tends to be guarded by a group of bodyguards Check the whole quota. Lies, people. Truth is always guarded by lies. It's hard to get to. It's rare. Hidden. You know. Now what? Now what? What if you woke up every day making decisions off of what you wish something was? How would your life look? Think of a person that you walk past every day on the sidewalk who is basing their decisions off of everything that they wish was true. We call those people homeless. You know, complainers, quitters. That's in the stream. Honestly, you get to a point where you just get tired. you get tired, and sometimes all you have left is hope. You feel me? Sometimes all you have left is hope. You know, I do a lot of in the comment debates with atheists. You know, and they'll make an argument of why is it all this pain, all this struggle, all this, this death, suffering? How could all these things exist if there's a God, a loving God who cares about the individual, who created me with intent, but he lets me get murdered? Why? How is that possible? And I don't have an answer. But I do have a question. Let's say there is no God. Let's say you're right. Does that remove the suffering? If we now we're on the same side now. I agree with you. Now there's no God. Cool. Remove God from the picture. We're just here. We're here by chance. We're here by time. We're here by matter. We're just a swirl of dust that is comprised by simply somebody threw some dice in the corner and landed on 7. And here we are. iPhones and iPads just everywhere. Just we're here by chance. There's no God. No one's in charge. We're just swirling through space, 70 million miles per hour. Just nobody's in charge. There's a huge ball of fire burning that's heating our ecosystem, our Earth, our world. Mind you, at a livable temperature. No one's in charge. Cool. I agree with you. Now what? Because the suffering's still there. The pain is still there. The death is still there. The realities of this world are still there, even if we remove God from the picture. There's no religion. But what did we actually remove from the picture? Hope. That's all we did. We took the one thing that people could hold on to and just removed the hope. Now, some people will say, well, cool. We removed some will call it delusion. Some people will call it, not living in the real world. Again, back to my previous quote, all we're focusing on is what we wish was. But that does not explain the millions of people who have this yearning in their heart for something. The same way you feel hungry, someone feels that yearning for justice. Where does that come from? Anger. Where does anger come from? I don't know. It's not my place. You hear me? It's not my place to make you think a certain way. Again, I'm just asking questions. I'm a student. I'm just a 28-year-old black man trying to figure it out. About to turn 29 next year, 30 after that. Some people say I should be making 3 times my age. I'm not close. Does that matter at this point in my life? Possibly. Who knows? Maybe. It's just me. I don't need all that money. What matters right now? What should I be focusing on at 28 years old? Well, again, back to the point of the video, the realities of this world that we live in, the truth about justice, why we are all here. I will spend the rest of my life in pursuit of truth. That's it. That's all I can do. When my number gets called, I'm done. When I die, I'm gonna have a great day in the media, hopefully. It'll be over. And my kids or my grandkids will take over. And they'll watch these videos back and, they'll be able to see a 29-year-old grandfather talking to a camera. It'll be dope. I'll be able to replay my videos in old age and, bro, if I could be that age again, I would go to the gym right after that video. Instead, I'm going to bed. That's why I'm drinking this coffee. I'm trying to go to the gym after this. It's been a long week. In current events, I'm accomplishing my first budget closeout in the fiscal year. It's September 30th, and we get a new budget, hopefully, which is not going to happen. But, the new fiscal year begins October 1st. And then we start over. But yeah, it's been an interesting week, a long week. Tomorrow's Friday. And again, we just wake up and we acknowledge the realities of this world. We acknowledge, what is, and we adjust. We assimilate, we make moves, we try. That's all we can do. This hour has been therapeutic because now I feel sleepy and now I feel rested. I feel like I've been holding a sneeze in just. A lot of us are just waiting for this world to be perfect, a utopia, no pain, no suffering, no death, no injustice. A world like that does not have humans in it. We don't have free will in a world with no possibility of pain, suffering, death, injustice. It's not possible. The only way we have the ability to choose, the only way we have options, the only way that we grow, the only way we're able to choose between risk and stability, being single and in a relationship, being in love and not being in love, is we have the ability to choose. But that choice, that gift of choice, comes with the possibility of pain, suffering, death, injustice. And that's just the truth of the world that we live in. It's the reality. Now, how you choose to respond to that, take responsibility for your own life, which is ending soon. Like tomorrow, like the next day, like who knows? All you have is today. Tomorrow does not exist. Yesterday does not exist. Those are all thoughts, concepts in your mind. They are literally thoughts. You're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be today. Literally, you're going to wake up at 12 midnight and go to the fridge and you're going to rename tomorrow today instantly. You won't even think to call it tomorrow. What do you do with that information? Take your life and pursue truth. Pursue what you value until you die. For me, it's going to be a relationship. It's going to be people. It's going to be putting my pride aside. It's going to be family, friends, people that make me laugh, people that I want to have memories with, people I want to look back and have vlogs with. That's what I love about vlogs is I can go back and look at the people I value, the people I spent time with, sitting in coffee shops, exploring New York City, exploring Florida, exploring overseas. Those are the things I miss the most right now. It's the reality. It's the never-ending truth that we kind of ignore when we get a new gadget that comes out. Oh, this TV is better than the last TV. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I want to encourage you, you know, seek truth, you know. Anything that's not grounded in truth will soon phase out. Is what it is. So I'll leave you with that. I'm either going to go to the gym or I'm going to get in this bed behind me. One of the two will transpire. But I will see y'all next video. And be encouraged, stay grounded, and have a good night. Turn this thing off. Say what's good to your boy.